Right, good morning. This is our final session of Fellowship Rebellious Youth. Um, so, Fellowship is a Powered by the Apocalypse game by Jacob Randolph about a group of plucky heroes fighting against the forces of darkness. In our case, we are playing a group of young heroes um, uh, taking on an oppressive empire and the corruption that lurks at its heart. This game is run as part of the Gauntlet, which is an online role-playing club. You can find out more about us at gauntlet-rpg.com. There'll be a link to that below, as well as to more information on this particular game. I won't go into any more detail on that now. As I say, this is our final session in a run of 10. So if this is the first one you're watching, I'd advise going back to the beginning and starting from there. With that said and done, I'm going to ask my players to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about their character and what they did last time we saw them. I'll go in character keeper order as ever. So, Stephen, if you would like to kick us off.
Yeah, hi there. I'm Stephen, he, him, and I am playing Ossian, he, him, the exile moon prince, now team dad to the rebellion. Wolf boy has a cat in my pocket. Concerned for Kalliban and their decision making. Yeah.
Cool. And I'm Jamie, they, them pronouns. I'm playing Sabila, who is a dragon who has recently kind of come into their power. I mean, not completely, but it's a work in progress. Sabila comes from a group of people who have been thought lost for a long time. They are struggling to survive in this world, but Sabila themselves is trying their best to keep the fellowship together, to make sure we can all make it together in the end.
Brilliant, thank you. And Alex.
Alex, he, him, or they, them. I'm playing Phaethon, he, him. Phaethon is the Harbinger playbook. He is a powerful teen wizard with powerful angst. Renegade from the mysterious evil Ordo Noctis. Last session, he, at least temporarily, averted his projected destiny of being the one to kill the last of the dragons. Albeit through a, method that wouldn't really have been his fault if it did happen.
Brilliant, thank you very much. And last but not least, David, if you'd like to introduce us to Kalliban.
I am Dave, he, him, and I'm playing Kalliban, they, them, who is currently the Redeemed playbook, but could fall back into Nemesis at any point. Last time, Kalliban dethroned the Empress, his mother, offered the crown to Ossian, and decided if he wasn't going to take it, he'd have to take it himself, because he's going to redeem and save the Empire at whatever the cost.
Awesome, thank you. So before I continue, I'll just quickly go over our safety tools again. I think we've done this enough times. I think we're all fairly familiar with them by now, but we'll be using the X card as ever. If you want to invoke the X card, make some sort of sign either on screen through video or chat, or just say out loud that you'd like to X card something. We'll remove that move past it. We'll also be using script change, which has commands like pause, rewind, fast forward, and so on and so forth. Again, I think we're all familiar with those, but just so that that's out there. Obviously, as well, if at any point you need to step away from the table, feel free to do so. Let me know if you want, but you don't feel you need to. Whether that's you have to leave entirely, or you just need a quick break. That's all part of our open door policy. So that is always, that option is always there. Cool. So last time we saw the rebellion attack the Autumn Palace, the center of imperial rule in the capital city, and they and you took down the as I took down, you confronted the Empress and got her to back down from the throne. In the meantime, you learned more of the machinations of the leader of the Ordo Noctis, Gilded Swan, who has plans to bend the Empire to his will using his newfound magical might gained by the change in power at the palace. We left off with you having made your way across in an inhospitable wasteland of grey sand and big imposing mesas to find the Gothic spired high court of the Ordo Noctis. What we're going to do now, as I've discussed at the end of last time, is we're going to go into what's called a set piece, which is basically just a sort of codified way of saying we're going to have kind of an extended action sequence. There'll be various challenges for you to overcome as you fight your way through, or fight or otherwise gain access to the High Court of the Ordo Noctis, and there will be then presumably a confrontation with Gilded Swan. So we'll sort of go through that, and we'll see how that shakes out, and then we'll go into a little phase of epilogues and such to tie off the season with. In terms of how this works, there's no real additional mechanic to the set piece. There's only a couple of like extra considerations to take into account. One of those is that some of the mechanics will be unlike with a normal enemy combatant, where their stats are revealed to you at the outset. The stats in this will only sort of be revealed as you sort of start interacting with them, so that you're not always as sure of exactly what's going to be coming up. The other consideration here is obviously certain moves will cannot be used against the set piece as a whole, and also you can't. So despite the fact, so the way it sort of looks is that the set piece does essentially have stats as any other encounter, but you if you use the finish them move, you basically you can't resolve it all with one finish the move. That still just does damage to a stat even on a 10+. So that's sort of the only other thing I think that's relevant when it comes to set pieces. But yes, so we are. I'm going to tweak one of the ones in the book slightly. So this one. This is I'll be using the Siegebreaker set piece. This normally presumes that you have an army at your disposal, but I am going to say that essentially you'll each gain one use of a distraction, which can be used to kind of tie up.
I'm going to remind you of the move I took at the end of last time. Your fellowship's armies. You have taken control of an army.
Perfect.
You do have an army.
Excellent. So yeah,
this can only end well.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, basically, in which case you will each get one use of a distraction, which you can basically use to just pull in pull in forces to sort of tie up encounters and that sort of thing. Obviously, Dave, you will still be able to use that army as a companion as usual. Cool. That works out nicely. So yes, So to set the scene, you are outside the imposing walls of the High Court. There is. You can already see sort of robed figures moving about on the walls. The walls start glowing with mystic sigils and the like. They are clearly activating defenses and such like. So yeah, and I think oh yes, there's so there is a and I think so. Yeah, actually, I'm going to ask how do you? What does my first question? I guess will be pointed primarily at Kalliban, but yeah, what does the army you have with you look like?
They look like they would have been soldiers from the Imperial armies, but they've been told to cast off their helmets and masks and wear a white sash. But otherwise, they look like Imperial soldiers we've seen before, with just a few affectation changes to make it look like they're on the good guys' side and to keep the redesign cost low for the animators. Excellent.
I like it. And yeah, how I'm also going to ask, how do you think you got the army out here? And feel free to pass this on to someone else if you're interested in how they might have assisted in assembling the forces.
Does anyone have anything they want to add? Then if
I already used all my sorry.
Oh no, go for it.
I already used all my ley line magic, so
no, I think in that case they've come in the airships that we've seen before, and we see them as we arrive, and indeed if from an army we see the ships descending out of the clouds in the darkness and our lights coming on, and Kalliban taps their fingers together and goes, "Reinforcements have arrived."
Awesome. And I think as the troops start sort of rappelling down from the airships and forming up, we see kind of a storm gathering around the spires of the court, and the clouds. The clouds are those where the clouds are dark, but you can see like the glow of lightning coming from inside them, and bolts of lightning start striking down at the ground in front of the court with obvious intent. So I'm going to ask. Well, so I guess how are you as a group going to approach this? If you want to have a quick conversation about your plans, feel free to do so. As these sort of like blasts of lightning start hammering down around you.
I can put a wall of force over our heads. I don't know how long it'd hold off lightning. Could be something.
I think allow me and the armies to cause the distraction you need. Go and do what needs to be done. But should you need me, just call.
I think this moment is like the very cool, like like standing in front of the armies and looking awesome.
It will extend his hand to Phaethon and says, "I and my forces are at your command, Phaethon."
Cool.
Yeah, I say, like, look, Phaethon, I know that you have trouble believing in yourself, but I believe that you can do this. And I'm giving you a pep talk, so you gain vigor with my new move.
Just on the next roll or whatever.
I guess. It doesn't really say, it just says they gain vigor. I think it's just like forward, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, basically vigor is always the next roll. So yeah, that's cool. Very slight. There's one very slight exception to that. I think I mentioned last time, but yes, that in general, vigor is just the next roll you make. Sometimes it might say vigor with blood or whatever, in which case it's your next roll with that stat. But yeah, in general, it's just on the next roll. Cool. So yeah, I think Phaethon, as you kind of hold up this wall of force above you and make your way towards the castle ramparts, I think I'm going to ask you to make a you'd think I'd learn the name of the moves by now, and yet get away, please.
Yeah.
So that's a roll with grace.
Yeah. And I think he says back to Ossian while forming this wall of force. Thanks. I'm really glad I don't have to do this alone. And that's a 6.
Perfect. Okay, so I think the I think that you will make it to the walls, and I think you are you're able to protect the obviously the fellowship and the army as you sort of get closer through this like rain of lightning, but it is going to cost you, and I think that I'm going to ask you to mark a point of harm, specifically as well at the moment, while you are still in the war zone. This is a stat, by the way, so it can be damaged, but you have to mark harm in wisdom and sense first, before any other stats. Just so
sense.
Cool. So yeah, and as you kind of get up to the walls of the court, the lightning is obviously not striking quite this close, so you're sort of within this. It's almost like a globe of lightning strikes around the court at the moment, or half globe, I suppose, a dome. But as you get close, and your wall of force finally sort of gives way, a figure up on the wall has clearly sort of spotted you as the sort of the epicenter of this wall of force, and they raise up their arms, and a sheet of it looks almost like a flow of lava shoots down towards you. Does somebody want to try and get in the way of this before it strikes? Phaethon?
Yeah, I mean, yes. I think with Sabila goes without saying. I'm going to... I'm trying to figure out if the armor would work. Would that be enough to...
Yep. Yep, that's fine. Yeah, if you wish to mark that armor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mark it. And it was like a wall of flame coming through? Is that
Yeah,
right?
that's right, yep.
Yeah, and I think what it looks like is Sabila starts burning up, the flames just completely engulfing them, burning up the robe that they've thrown on top of themselves, and that fire consumes the fire before it can hit Phaethon.
Awesome. Yeah, so you're now at the walls. The walls are big and imposing. They're quite tall. You could obviously climb them with the necessary equipment, or you could try and break through them by sheer might of force, though that would be tricky. These should probably come as no surprise that the walls are one of the stats of this set piece, and so Ossian, Kalliban, does one of you have a plan for getting past the walls of this place?
Well, I have a way of getting us in. I don't know if I can get the armies in as well with my plan, though.
I think I'll just make a cut on it. I think they've broken their oath with the Empire. So Kalliban will look at it and swipe his sword upwards, and I will destroy the wall.
Okay.
Nice, yeah, and you cut a gash through the wall. There's actually a word that they use with castles, but it is slipping my mind. Breach. That's it.
Okay.
Trip hazard.
Yep. Yes. Big hole, and the wall. A section of the wall shatters under the force of your blow, and you and your troops are able to pour inside. In the as you reach inside the courtyard, there are numerous figures here. There's both there's both people who are obviously like the Ordo Noctis mages. There's also the people we've seen before, the guards, who wear slightly more less like flowing robes and the like, and slightly plainer masks, are stood here wielding. They'll probably be kind of like magically glowing batons almost, covered in sort of eldritch energies.
Kalliban proclaims to his commanders and the troops, "No pillaging and no disemboweling. We are the good empire now."
Nice. And Ossian, what's your reaction upon being confronted by these troops?
Oh, that's right. I dropped my sword the last time. I think I'm probably gonna have to do the whole...
Wait, I have a sword I can give you. I haven't used it at all. I've had a sword this whole
but
time.
now it's going to lose its magical power of uselessness. It was determined in chat that the magic sword, its power was for the audience being useless.
I had also forgotten about this. So.
Yeah, well, in that case, because really all I'm going to use it is just to cut my own hand. So it's still pretty, we're still maintaining that level of uselessness here. Because I slice, I like hand over the sword, like wield it up, and then I just cut my own hand with it. And I'm gonna wolf out.
Awesome. Yeah. So you transform into your big glowing wolf form. So are you going to kind of engage with these troops, or try and distract them, or how do you think it looks?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to engage them. Yeah.
Cool. I think if you want to make, I think actually this will probably be. I think actually, this will probably be an overcome rather than a keep them busy. So yeah, if you would like to, that's a roll with blood, to prevent them from, to put them on the back foot basically as you're coming in.
Okay. And I'm forgetting here. Do I get anything from all of my various advances? I think it's just that I can't. Yeah, it's just that I never roll with despair for it. Okay, just checking.
Though if you have bonds with everyone, which I believe you do,
okay.
Then you can roll with, because this is like you're obviously you're working as a in concert as a team here. So
let's see here. So that's a 11.
Awesome. Yeah, you are able to kind of leap into action against this this group of people and this group of soldiers, and sort of drive them back, and protect your companions from harm. And I think actually I'd like to just get a little brief vignette from each of you kind of like engaging in dramatic battle with this force of like wizards and their guards. So yeah, I'll go on to Jamie first, and then come back around to Stephen last. So yeah, Sabila, what do we see of you in this sort of confrontation?
Yeah, I think as Sabila is fighting, I think what actually happens is you can see that they're trying to control the dragon. Like they're trying to stay within this form and not go all the way just yet. But it's difficult. You can see the scales growing on different parts of their body, and the horns becoming too large, and they're struggling to not hurt anyone too badly. Like you can see that they're sort of pulling back, and trying to do the best they can.
Awesome. Yeah, and Phaethon, how about you? What do we see as you as you sort of bust in here?
I think we see like Phaethon drawing some of the wizard's attentions to like take some pressure off Ossian and Sabila, and basically get a big group of wizards surrounding him and shooting like fire and ice at him, but he's put up a wall of force around him, and he's just kind of sort of tapping his foot, like, and then it like sort of does a countdown, and when they've relented with their spells for a second, takes down the wall of force and just releases like a big circle of lightning out from himself and knock them all over, and one of them does a Wilhelm scream.
Excellent. Got to get that in there. Kalliban, how do we see you and your troops engaging with the enemy?
Hey, like the proclamation, right? Which is they are engaging, stopping, trying their best to make sure that none of them escape out, but also clearing a line to the keep. Kalliban is, I think, has drawn his sword and is fighting in the fray. And we see them if the troops start overstretching or going into the bad tactics, he'll pull them away and look at them sternly before returning to the fray.
Nice. And finally back round to Ossian. And yeah, what does it look like as you sort of finally drive back this initial wave of troops, and as you make your way sort of to the keep proper?
Yeah, I do just want to add in some, like, I think that like after as I'm like fighting through and like pushing these troops back with like roars and like Okami style like wolf spins. I do like I have like all these like arrows and stuff stuck in my fur, but like I do like I shake them out like a dog that's wet, and then for like a second we see like all of Ossian's fur like stuck out on end, and then like he shakes himself out again to get it all back down.
Nice. I like it. Cool. So and I think with that you managed to make your way into the court proper. Again, it's very like tall vaulted ceilings, very gothic, lots of shadows and light and general creepiness going on in here. What we're going to do now is you'll be dealing with the internal defenses of the place, and I feel vindicated in my approach to these things in the past, because the suggestion here is to treat this as a journey move, as we see you overcoming various threats within the tower itself. So as ever, if someone has an idea of a threat they would like to see someone overcome on their way up to the... So I should actually also say that kind of the objective here, if you will, and I can't remember if I have foreshadowed this or not. I may not have done, but Phaethon, you will be aware that there is like a sort of focal crystal type device in the upper chambers of the court. This is the kind of the nexus for the magical surveillance system that they have. It basically reads energy sigils from the energy signatures from the ley lines and all that sort of thing. It's also almost certainly the device that Gilded Swan used to suck the power from the palace. And obviously taking control and or destroying that would be a way of significantly reducing the power of the Ordo Noctis as a whole. So that's kind of the goal here. But yes, if anyone has an idea for the first threat they would like to invite someone to solve, and we'll begin with that.
I have one for Sabila, which is Sabila has reached. In fact, are you in your final form? Not almost.
Not
their final form.
Yeah, almost.
Not even their final form. But as they reach that point and they're engaged in a terrifying battle, is there anything? The Sabila's more kind and buoyant nature, does she struggle with the dragon within?
Yeah, I think it's gotten to that point where Sabila is just like placing a hand against the wall, and the wall just overreacts and is crushed by the strength. And you can see that Sabila is now pulling back, not sure, because it would be easy for Sabila to get through this, but not without hurting everyone else around them. And so I think it takes a while for Sabila to sort of just do their best to retreat into the background and just support everyone else. But Kalliban, what do you tell Sabila to calm them, to help them gain the focus they need?
I think if Caliban spots that Sabila is about to do something overpowering, maybe he'll step inside in front of her just before a flame comes out and says, "No, Sabila, we will not make the mistakes of our parents."
And I think Sabila would say, our parents, and there's this flashback of their mom saying, like, you have to kill the queen, that she can't be trusted. And Sabila tries to shake it off. Right, we don't have to be our parents. And I think in that moment, Sabila finds some modicum of self-control and is able to power through it. I think I will probably give the next challenge. Ossian, what here makes you think that we've underestimated what we're up against?
I think like as we're going through this facility, like from the outside it looks like this kind of fort that's raised above the ground, but there are these sort of massive, almost boreholes just tunneled into the earth, where they're just like storing endless chambers upon chambers of mystical energy.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right, then Phaethon, what defense mechanism here is known only to members of the order, and how does Phaethon counteract it?
When in the event of an attack on the High Court, the halls on the upper floors warp and twist in a way that like defies Euclidean space and makes traditional navigation to like the center area with the big magic surveillance system.
Just remember, we're not summoning any elder gods. Part of the lines.
Yeah, no, nothing like that. It's just, but it's like you just find yourself like walking the same hall over and over again, or exiting a room into the same room. And Phaethon counteracts this by blasting one of the walls apart. And that kind of forces everything to take its normal shape back. Because otherwise, like, space would break.
I somehow like the idea that when they were designing this, well, this will defeat every form of magical attack. Well, what if somebody just used a bomb? No, no, no. Nobody would be that coarse.
It's designed to confuse. But yeah, I think the idea probably would be that, like, other people would not really understand what was going on. But yeah. Yeah. Kalliban, as you're, storming the High Court, what do you come across that reveals evidence of the depth of the Order's corruption or influence in the Empire, going even deeper than you realized?
As we break into the keep and make our way forward, there is a long hall, which is gallery-like, and on the wall there are paintings of various governors, justices, army leaders, all of which Kalliban recognize. These paintings move and look at Kalliban and all of us as we move past, and it is clear that these are in the service of Gilded Swan. Kalliban looks at each of them in turn, marks their face, and marks them for stern talking to. Not death anymore. Stern talking to. Is that everyone? Have we gone?
I think that's everybody.
So, yeah, it's me. It's the last one. Yeah.
Yep. Sorry. So I was just distracted briefly. Yes. The you will. You will. As you finally make your way through this gallery, you will enter into a another big. This is like a big domed room in the center of the tower. There are columns spaced all around it. Several figures in dark robes are sort of stood at points around the room, and Gilded Swan stands in the very center around this crystalline structure. He is reaching out to it, and you can see just this like faint glowing, glimmering, like swirly light streaming from the crystal into his open palm as he thus very good, young ones. You have brought the dragon to me. I suppose that will have to do. And he will turn to Kalliban and say, "Come, child. I know you have been ill-treated by your family. They do not appreciate the power that you possess, the power that you have become. I can teach you how to channel it, how to become so very much more. And together we can fix this empire. We can eliminate the weakness and foolishness of the subjects and create a world that truly works.
Kalliban steps forward towards him and says, "What weakness would you overcome?"
The people are too guided by their base passions. We can eliminate it, make a world that runs on logic and sense.
It's true. Since I have come to travel with these people, they have taught me friendship, tolerance, love. It has been troubling. Wrong. Well, no, not really. And Taliban is now close and said, what you think the Empire is not what I think the Empire is. And you are no longer needed. And I'm going to grab their hand because they've broken my code of honor. I'd like to make the cut to present an opportunity and grab him by the wrist. And Kalliban hisses, "Now, Phaethon."
Awesome. And I think with that, we'll take our first break, and we'll return to this scene in a few moments. So welcome back, everyone. And so we see Kalliban has grasped Gilded Swan's wrist and called out to Phaethon. Phaethon, how do you react?
I out of character, I'm trying to gauge Caliban's intent. Is the intent to open up Gilded Swan or give an opening to attack the big magic orb?
Whichever you want to take. I think I'm just restraining him at such a point that you could stab him in the ribs or do something weird with the magic.
Okay. I wanna throw a rock, use wizardry to pick up a big piece of rubble and throw it at his mask to knock it off.
Yeah, sure thing. Do you think this is this something you're doing more as a distraction, or are you actually trying to kind of cause harm here, or cause?
I'm just trying to make him mad.
Yeah, sure thing. In which case, I think that will be rolling to keep them busy.
Or not even mad. I guess I want to make him feel vulnerable.
Yeah, sure thing.
That's more it.
Yeah, cool.
But yes, I will roll.
So that's a roll with courage.
And rolling with hope because
we'll be rolling with hope. Because
Well, that's a 9.
9. Okay. So I think you knock the mask off of his face. It clatters on the floor, and he breaks away from Caliban's hold and glares at you, and he's actually like, I don't think you've ever seen his face before. He is he's very pale. He's staring at you. He's actually possibly a little younger than you might have expected. I mean, not like he's probably like maybe in his 30s sort of thing. He's sort of given that. He's always given that air of always having been in the role he's in, and so on and so forth when you've dealt with him before. but he just he glares at you, and says, "You insolent little brat, you could have been
I cut him off and say,
everything. How dare you spurn the role that you had?"
Is everything still going as according to plan?
Oh, it will do. It will do. So yeah, he is beginning to sort of gather up, beginning to gather up power. Clearly, preparing for some sort of magical attack. Though at the moment he is like completely like laser focused on Phaethon.
Kalliban looks at him and says, "I do the monologues around here," and he's had his moment. So I think as Phaeton's not going to do it, Kalliban will draw his blade and strike at Gilded Swan. And I'm attempting to beat him down.
Sure thing. So if you would, sorry, just flicking back to the. Is this disabling or knocking them out, or forcing them to retreat? Do you think, or are you actually going to try and kill him?
I'm trying to finish them with iron, which is to beat them down.
Sure thing. Yeah.
Contest of strength.
Sure thing. Go for it.
That will be an 11 all in all.
Yeah, awesome. So I think that as you come at him with your sword, he'll kind of just flick up a hand and sort of deflect the blow, and that blast he was gathering, he will sort of fire back at you, and I think we kind of get that moment of like this will be, because you're using iron here, there will be a kind of quite a long and drawn out duel between the two of you. But yeah, how does it look as you kind of get the upper hand over him?
I think it has been a strong, a difficult fight. But he's sort of on his knees, and Kalliban has got his sword to his throat and says, "The Empire was never about control. It was about safety and gathering together people of a like mind. It's a commonwealth of shared ideas. It is not something to be changed, to be controlled, and to be dominated by one person. And as I have told so many people recently, you should be very glad I know these people. That is the only reason your head will stay connected to your throat." And he'll hit him with the back of his sword and send him, knock him out.
Awesome.
Storm away with trails of shadow behind him.
And as this duel comes to its conclusion, the Ossian and Sabila, you will be aware that whilst this duel is going on, the power inside this crystal is like surging up as Gilded Swan draws on it more, and as he is knocked unconscious, sparks and like magical energy start surging and strobing out of this crystal. What do you do?
Ossian, do you have an idea, or?
So, uh, yeah, I'm actually gonna. This is the thing I'm deciding out of character. I kind of shout to you, like, Sabila, you need to get yourself to safety. We'll be able to handle things from here. If it's you're too important to like this is out of you're too important to risk on this. Because I, of course, have voice of reason. So when I offer advice to another player and they ignore it, I'm filled with hope during any attempt to bail them out of whatever mess they get themselves into.
Oh, perfect. Absolutely perfect. That is such a good move. And it's so cartoon. Yeah, I think when Sabila hears it, they smile sadly at Ossian and say, no, it's because that this is too important. A dragon can never turn their back on their friends, I say. As I will go ahead and damage 2 stats so that I can transform to become a threat to the world and have access to great power. And then I'm going to damage another 2 stats to go into my final form. So that's like 4 in a row. So I'm going to read out what it is. I have another magical girl transformation apparently when you choose the final form one, which is so cool. Let's see. You take on your final form. When you take on your final form for the first time, take the spotlight for as long as you need it. Tell us what your transformation looks like, how it happens, and what you look like now. Write an entirely new look. I gained the tags. Let's see. So in the original one, I gained the tag threat to the world. Transformation is an advantage. The finished one doesn't apply here. I have access to like flight or gravity control. And then in final form, I may use spells without marking them. I gain the tags melee, ranged, area, piercing, and burning. And rolling a damage stat does not give me despair. But I also have to mark one more stat when I'm done and be passed out entirely. Just putting it out there. So I think what that looks like as Sabila steps away is like the ground beneath their feet. It's like as if gravity is pushing against it and cracking outwards. And they only have eyes on the crystal. As they start to transform first into that serpentine shape and the moonlight fills up the room entirely. But then now it's kind of like, it's full on, like they didn't have any wings previously, but now they're like 12 pairs of wings and the horns are like filling up the ceiling. They have all these eyes traveling downwards towards the back. And they truly look more monstrous than what the myths talked about, what dragons look like before. And they completely fill up the room and they say, I will take this power of yours. You do not deserve such power. No one does. And I'm going to reach out and mark the spell of the Blessing of Claws. Destroy any object smaller than you.
Sorry. Yeah, you will be able to destroy the crystal, and I think. Yeah, I think I am going to. It's slightly off kilter here, but I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you to mark to roll to finish them with grace, please.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Uh,
Let me just double
think
check.
grace
I
is the
still have
closest.
advantage. Um, Yeah, rolling a damage stat does not give you despair. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I get to just roll normally. But I also have help from Ossian, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Let's see. Okay. So rolling. Okay. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. 9 total.
Cool. Yeah, and I think that will be enough in this instance to as you sort of absorb this this power and energy from the shattered crystal. I think for a moment we will see your mother's spirit manifest in the moonlight, and then and she's sort of you see her manifest and then almost lose her form again into this light which channels up, and we actually see like it doesn't seem forceful, it doesn't seem like it's punching a hole as such, but as the light reaches the ceiling of this room and ceilings above, it just starts to like disintegrate the stone above it, as the light forms like a big pillar up into the sky, and as it reaches the apex of this column, we see it forming into a sphere as we see the moon rise over the desert for the first time in millennia. And I think with that, we will start going into some kind of so I say Epilogue. I think first, I think if there are any kind of like we'll see a bit of the scene like as this comes in between yourselves, and if there's any like little side scenes you want with either individual characters here or with NPCs, we can handle those as well. Then we'll get into some like shorter just epiloguing stuff, but yeah, I want to give you some space to like role play if you wish, to get some tie up some ends and stuff. So yeah, and I think we will see as that kind of the moonlight shines down from the sky, it just like softens the lighting in this room slightly. It looks a little less severe as the four of you are stood around the ruins of the crystal, Gilded Swan unconscious on the floor. And there is just a moment of silence from the kind of sounds of combat outside as everyone stops to look up at the moon in the sky.
All things considered, I thought that would be harder.
I think at that moment, that's when Sabila loses their form and they start falling from the from the sky. I'm just gonna, because I had to damage all my stats, and I think they start hurtling down towards the floor.
I think that we see like Ossian running up the kind of streams of light, because that is a thing I can do, just as a thing, and I catch you in midair.
And I think I was just the urge to go, yeah, Team Dad. But I think like Sabila is like just completely knocked unconscious, but right before their eyes flutter up for a moment, and they smile and they say, "So that's what the moon looks like," before they pass out.
But I think as people are regrouping, like we see in the background, Sabila in her like covered in bandages outfit.
Yeah, I picked that avatar for a reason because I thought Sabila's going to spend half of their time like with damage stats at this rate. So.
I think there's definitely a scene with like Gilded Swan in a dungeon somewhere with like magical restraints to keep him from doing any wizard stuff. And Phaethon walks in and says, "How about now?"
Everything was working according to plan until you broke it. You have not succeeded at anything. You have merely destroyed the work of millennia.
It's funny because I thought it was inevitable. That's what you said, wasn't it? So what do you think happened? Because I've been thinking about it a lot, and I can't really put my finger on it. So I'm genuinely asking, what do you think happened?
I think that you found a loophole. You broke part of the prophecy, and now everything is undone. There is no certainty, there is no pattern we can follow now.
Well, your responses are still predictable enough. Have fun dwelling on that one, Gilded Jerk. And Phaethon leaves.
Nice. So yeah, I'm interested to see how Ossian and Kalliban what deal with the aftermath of this.
Well, I think at this point, Caliban is already giving orders to the troops to sort of prepare to move out, and is making ready to return back to the Imperial City.
Yeah, and I think that so is your intent then, Caliban, simply to take our mother's place on the throne and keep everything as it was before?
He just looks at Ossian and says, "Keep everything as it was before." I turned against her and the Empire for you, Ossian. I know nothing will be like it was before. Every one of those faces, every one of those corrupt officials who have betrayed the promise of what the Empire was, they'll be dealt with one by one. It's a life's work. I believe in what the Empire stood for, not what it is. And I don't think you've ever understood that about me. So if your answer is, the question is, will I take that throne? Yes, I will. Because you can't simply stop having a government. You can't simply stop having people and trade and peace. Work must be done.
I think that yeah, Ossian, I don't trust I don't trust in the Empire, but I do trust in you, Kalliban, to want to do the right thing. And I kind of look out over at the moon. There's still something I do not have to understand, that I do not understand about my birth, about why I have this blessing of the moon. And with it returned, I feel something calling out to me far beyond the Empire, and I think I need to travel there and see what it is. Will you look after Sabila when I'm gone?
Are we not entirely sure that Sabila does not look after me? You'll find yourself, brother. When you come back, you'll be proud of what I've done. If not, I know I will be called to account.
I'm sure I'll be proud. And I think that's where I think that's where to end that scene.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, so did anyone else have a last scene they wanted to do before we get into epilogues?
I would like to say goodbye to Ossian.
Sure.
He sets off his journey.
Oh yeah.
Do you say goodbye to everybody, or
I think Ossian was totally planning on like just like departing under the cover of night, but then like probably Sabila and Phaethon have like jumped with a surprise going away party. Well, Sabila probably, and then Phaethon just got dragged into it.
Yeah, Phaethon's more the show up at the last minute behind you to, say something right as you're leaving type.
Yeah, and I think Sabila is just like sobbing the whole time. We made this cake for you, and then here's all your favorite food. Like just crying the whole time. Like they're not asking you to stay. right? They're not, but they're just sobbing the whole time. Just
Yeah.
like, yeah. And
I think Ossian like hugs the both of you in like one big hug and says, "You've both grown so much in the short time I've known you both. I'm proud of you both."
And don't worry, Ossian. I'll make a good lieutenant. I'll take care of everybody.
So, with you and the moon and that whole thing, I don't know much about the logistics of it or the details of the cosmology or whatever, but found this book in the library, and I think it might, Order's library, think it might have some insight for you. And he hands you like this. It's a very old book. It's gotta be like kept in nearly immaculate shape, but clearly ancient. If that's cool, like I don't have anything.
Yeah,
for that
and actually, I
mechanically,
first I give Phaethon a hug, and I say, "Look after Sabila for me, won't you?" And then
Are you sure they
I
aren't the
also
one
give
looking after
Sabila
me?
a hug. Yeah, and then I also give Sabila a hug. I told Phaethon to look after you, but look after him, all right?
I will. Don't worry. I'll make sure he's not as angsty.
Hey, I'm working on it.
We're gonna throw a party every week until he stops being really angsty.
Please
That's the plan.
Phaethon, I think it's fair to say that you're more angsty than me now, and I'm a transformed half moon god.
Is
Learn
that fair to
smile,
say?
buddy.
Is that fair to say? And he is smiling.
Yeah.
Can I talk to you in private for a second, Ossian?
Of course.
And I think that, find a place to chat under like a street lamp that is no longer lit by moonlight, but some more traditional form of illumination. And he says, "What are we going to do about Kalliban?"
I trust that Kalliban wants to do the right thing, but I think that he'll need someone there to make certain that he keeps on the right path. And well, do you think you perhaps could think of anyone that might be able to help as an advisor?
It'd take some doing, but I'm sure I could come up with somebody. But when you get back, we better be overthrowing this thing. That's all I have to say. Take care, Ossian.
You too, Phaethon. And I think that's where Ossian departs.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think a few days later, I think Sabila wants to talk to Phaethon.
What's up?
So, like, what's Phaethon's quarters look like? I think this is the first time we've actually seen it on the series.
Probably like before it was very bare bones. like Phaethon's belongings and a bed and like a single light source and not really anything else. And now it is just full of like books he's essentially looted from the Order's library. Because Lambent Stork can't tell him what to do or tell him to return things. So he spends a lot of his time in there, poring over texts about the just like text, like we see like covers, about like on the moon goddess, or just stuff about the cosmology of the setting, to give the lore nerds something to obsess about. And it's still like, so it's still it's still basically just has his stuff in bed, but now his stuff includes a ton of books.
And I think so Sabila knocks on the door. Phaethon, are you in there? I can hear you angsting inside there, I think.
Phaethon opens the door remotely with wizard hand, and says, "That won't ever get old, will it?"
Well, once you start smiling more, then maybe I'll stop. And like it's like a small, like, is it a real smile, or is it like, oh, okay?
It's like it's a little smile. He's not. He's genuinely not being like. He does seem a lot more sort of, a lot less troubled, at least.
I think Sabila's like, I need to see it, and then like they do that thing where they like pull your mouth so that you're like this wide all the time. But then I think Sabila like leaves. Like Sabila leaves their hands there. Like it's a really awkward moment. And then Sabila just sort of looks down and says, "You told me once to give up on you. Do you remember that?"
Yeah.
I think, and like Sabila, let's go. I think I'm ready to do that, but I need your help.
What do you mean?
I'm worried about Kalliban. I know that they can do well. I know that they have a good heart, but there are still aspects of the Empire. I feel like we haven't gotten through all of the corruption. There's still a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah, no, they've got to go. Like, no question. Don't know when, but sorry, what were you thinking?
What do you mean they have to go?
Like, no more emperors is all I meant. No more empire. What were you thinking?
Well, I was thinking of setting up a council and changing the form of government and things like that, but...
So basically the same thing.
Well, but not getting rid of them.
Well, but not as... They wouldn't be there as emperors, is what I mean.
Well, we'll see.
Listen, I found this book in the library about, is this, I've never heard of this kind of government before, but you should take a look. And I feel like unless there's anything else Sabila wants to say, that's probably a scene.
Yeah, and I think Sabila would just sort of like place their hand and then just sort of blurt out, "I love Kalliban and I don't know what to do about it."
Oh. Well, that sucks. So you don't want the book then.
But you help me, right?
What? Help them love you back?
Is that how it works?
It's not.
I don't know. Like, you can do something with your magic, right? Just make this easier.
That sounds wrong. I don't have the words to describe why it sounds wrong, but it definitely sounds wrong.
Just forget I said anything and give me the book.
Wait. Just, you are worthy of love as you are, Sabila. I don't know that. Be careful with Kalliban is all.
Well,
You just practically had to like finish him into giving you a compliment.
I know, actually. I think it's gonna end at Sabila like grinning and about to say something, and then the scene cuts out.
Nice. Do we want to have? Do you want to have Sabila? Do you want to have a last scene with Kalliban, or do you want to just move into epilogue territory?
Ooh, that's so tempting. What do you think for Kalliban?
I'm certainly down with that, and then potentially like a scene with Sabila and Phaethon to finish off.
Sure thing.
I kicked Phaethon off the side of the mountain. He deserves to be kicked off.
Is this like a training exercise? Like we see you kicking him off and we think it's a bad thing, and it's like a training exercise or something.
All of the training dummies in Kalliban's dojo have Phaethon faces on them.
I think Sabila walks in with Phaethon and says, "Oh, I forgot to mention the dummies." And
I know.
Oh, okay, you did.
Yeah, I know pretty much everything. No big deal.
Okay, that's not creepy at all.
And he grins and laughs a little bit.
Kalliban, we're here. I brought you cake.
I was hoping to see both of you.
Well, that's new.
Well, mostly Sabila, but
that's more like it.
Even you, Phaethon, I have come to tolerate you.
Thank you.
You are as close to as tolerable I have found any wizard in my time, but I do think that I need both of you for what is ahead.
And what is ahead?
We're at a crossroads. There can be evolution or revolution. I fear revolution for many who will deserve not to be harmed will be. I think we should start slowly to do it, or quickly, as it may be necessary, to evolve the structures of power and government within the empire. And part of that is removing the existing court, as most of them were in service of Gilded Swan. They must personally face retribution for their crimes, not the people that they oppressed. I wish to redeem the Empire. And I wish to bring those who were pushed out of it back into its as allies and friends in a new commonwealth, starting with the dragons.
Yes, I think, and I give this like pointed look at Phaethon. I agree that evolution is the way forward. I think there's a lot we have to do to make things right, but I think we can do it together.
Well, you'll need somebody who can tell the future.
And enjoys telling us that they knew it all along. Except when they didn't, hey?
I mean, yeah, but you know that already. It's kind of just a running gag at this point.
Will you support me in this? Will you help me try?
I'll support you as long as I think what you're doing is right.
It's always been the accord we've had, Phaethon, isn't it?
Yep.
And what about you, Sabila?
I think Sabila's like shocked that the two of you haven't gone for each other's throats yet. Like their eyes are darting on all the dummies. And then but they look at you, Kalliban, and they say, it would be difficult for me to not help you in any way I can. I will always do my best. I believe in you, Kalliban.
Without your belief, Sabila, I would have failed many times. I will always need you.
And if it wasn't for you, I don't know if I would have had the strength to live up to the hopes of my people. So the dragons will always stand with you, Kalliban.
Strange full circle, Sabila. When we started this, you were the last of your people, and now I am the last of mine. I intend to be the last Midnight Emperor.
And what awaits? Will you be emperor forever, or is there something you hope for?
I said what I have hoped for is not possible. And he looks between the two of you because Kalliban still totally thinks you two are an item.
And I think Sabila misses the signs. No, whatever it is, we can help you, right, Phaethon?
I mean, I guess. I feel like there are some limits.
Yeah, fine. Of course we'll help you, Kalliban. Whatever you hope for. Nothing is beyond you.
I am glad of your faith in me, Sabila. And I think there is a sort of shift in Caliban's forms. I'm going to lock by held advance. And I'm going to move to the redeemed playbook as the dark, shadowy features of Kalliban retreat into a more human-looking form. This is my final form. Could have gone either way, but you know. And he looks at Sabila and says, in that sort of, no, he's not going to say it because like he's emotionally, he's even worsely emotionally introverted probably than Phaethon, right? So he just goes and looks at Sabila and says, I am glad you are by my side. I hope it will be for a long time.
And I think when you take on your final form, Sabila like just starts to blush uncontrollably. Oh, this is a new book. It's and I'm like looking at Phaethon, help.
You know what? I have some errands to run.
What? The cake, it's for three people.
I know you can cover my portion.
Excuse me, are you insulting me?
No! That's a compliment! I'm going!
And I'll put the closing line of the scene potentially to be that Kalliban looks at Sabila and says, "I will never understand why you love that man."
It's like just Sabila's eyes, like, oh,
Perfect. Cool. So I think what I'll do now is just have a quick break, because I could do with filling up my water glass if nothing else, and then we will come back to do epilogues. My intention for the epilogues is I will give each of you a chance to frame like a kind of an epilogue scene showing your character, and then we can kind of have a bit of a when you've like had a chance to do your scene, we might have people ask, if anyone has any kind of tying up loose ends questions they want to ask of the other characters or me, then we can do that a little bit. Then we'll go into some roses and thorns. So we probably won't be back for the full hour once we get back, but we'll see how it goes. I'll see you all in a moment.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries. No, and welcome back, everyone. So yeah, cool. So as I say, we'll just do a little bit of epiloguing. So I think what I'll do is I'll ask each of you in turn to frame a little epilogue scene that we see of your character in either the days, weeks, months, or even years following your victory, as you see fit. My intent is probably just to go through in character keeper order, but if anyone has a particular desire to like go first or whatever, then feel free to speak up. But that's my intention. We'll then, like I said, I'll then just give people a chance if they want to ask any like follow-up questions to about any of the characters or any NPCs. Then feel free to do so. And with that, Ossian, if you would like to give us a little scene of Ossian's future.
Yeah, I think that we see. I think that we see like this kind of journey where we see like we kind of flip between Ossian traveling and like a map of the known world, and we eventually like see like Ossian traveling off the edge of the map. And I almost feel like this is probably a setup in the series to do like a spin-off series, along with the other spin-off series that we discussed earlier, which is the prequel.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Cool. So yes, Sabila. What little epilogue scene do we see for Sabila?
Ooh, I think Sabila, like, it's a montage of Sabila seeking out what's left of the dragons, going into these talks. And sometimes these talks are just beating each other up, as is the way of dragons. And I think eventually convincing Grayscale to feel differently. I think Sabila, like, they never take the title for themselves, but people start to refer to them or think of them as the leader of the dragons, even though that's not Sabila's intentions. Sabila is just trying to bring everyone together. And I think once Sabila starts to realize that people are looking up to them, they instead turn to Amiri and say, Amiri, it has to be you that will carry the hope of our people. It cannot be me, someone of pure dragon blood. The only way forward is if they can see what you represent. something new and something different. I am truly the last of my kind for now, and it will have to remain that way until magic fully comes into itself again. But I think even though Sabila is saying that, like the camera shifts and we see that there's this mysterious place that's full of dragon eggs that are glowing faintly of moonlight, but we don't know where it is and who they are.
Nice, I like it. I like it. And Phaethon.
I think we see Phaethon is in. Well, it's like a fairly. It's much nicer than his quarters. It's a study of some sort. Still surrounded by books. He looks a little bit older. He has little reading glasses, little spectacles, and he rolls out like a a small parchment and dips a quill in ink and starts writing Dear Ossian. And I think it's like just a lot of it is like updates. The gist of it is a lot has happened, and I have looked into the future, and I can confidently say I have no idea how things will turn out. Thanks. Kalliban is as Kalliban as ever. And he signs the letter, rolls, and sort of waves a hand over it, and it folds up into like a little origami bird. Then he opens the window of his study. It's night. The moon is high, and as he releases the bird to fly out the window, you see it like basically like fly, disappear. It pans up to the moon as the paper bird flies off into the distance.
Nice, thank you. And Kalliban. What do we see? What do we see of Kalliban's epilogue?
Many years have passed, and we're at a manor house keep towards the edge, if not beyond, of where the Empire would have been. And we see a noble dressed man come in and light a candle in a room, and sitting across in the chair from him is Kalliban. And Kalliban looks at him and says, "Good evening, Duplato. You've run a long way, but I'm afraid I've caught up with you. When the sun goes down, I am still the Midnight Emperor, and you are still my problem to deal with. But I promised, my dear Sabila, that I would not kill anymore. So instead, I imprison you for the rest of your life in the Shadow Oubliette." He smiles and says, "My not so good friend Phaethon tells me that the rest of my life will be 10,000 years." And the smilish look of a cruel, but not as cruel, Kalliban, as Duplato is pulled back into darkness, and the scene, the candle is snuffed, and darkness reappears.
Nice, thank you very much. I'm just going to ask if anyone has any final questions they would like to ask of any of the other characters, and then feel free to go ahead and do so. Otherwise, we'll go on to our roses and thorns.
Does Ossian literally go to the moon at any point in his journey? Please say yes.
Yeah, I think probably. I imagine that this is like some absurd fantasy geography, and like one can just literally travel to where the moon meets the edge of the world.
Awesome.
I think so. If Phaethon can't read the future anymore, does that mean no one can? Like, has it become inscrutable?
It's not so much that he can't read the future. My thinking is basically that his breaking the prophecies proves that the oracular abilities are not so much like literal visions of the future as much as they are like powerful predictive engines. And that's why like there can be a lot of variation in like sort of the details of things, even if things tend to turn out the way prophecy details. And I think the what I was going for is basically things are, a lot is happening right now, and like like oracular powers are failing me. Like there's no, everything is too in flux right now to really predict with any reasonable accuracy what will happen next.
Ooh, so I think my next question is, when things finally like settle in a way where you can see the future clearly, what future do you see that shocks you?
I'm not sure Phaethon would make a habit of looking into the future anymore, is all. I think he is still haunted slightly by the idea that like he is destined to fulfill the prophecy eventually. That just, it's been delayed. But he's decided he really doesn't want to know.
Cool. I like that.
Awesome. So I think with that we will end things for this run. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. It has been it's been really good fun. I've really been looking forward to these sessions, and it will be a shame to see them go, but it's been a lot of fun to play with you all. Excellent. No, that it's been really good fun. If anyone has been watching this, thank you for watching. But I will stop our broadcast now as we go in and do some roses and thorns.